Hey, what is going on, everybody? Today we have another spreadsheet-esque video where I want to go over with you guys how likely it will be to farm enough shards for X Factor before the Adam Warlock event. And so we know that today Multiple Man is going into Doom 3.9 to replace Taskmaster, which gives us, I would say, roughly 13 days before his expected event, with 5 more for the duration of the Adam Warlock event. Now, I also want to guesstimate when I think Polaris might become available, and I have estimated farmable shards based on how many power cores you want to spend for both Multiple Man and Polaris. And we'll talk briefly about Longshot because he is in the War Store, but we won't be doing any math around Shatterstar because he is going into the Arena Orb, and frankly, it's a load of crap. And I just want to, I don't feel like mathing that orb out today, but it's absolutely horrendous, and I hope you guys do well in this current blitz and just already have him where you need to be, since he's been far more available than the other characters. But anyways, without further ado, let's get this X Factor show started. Alright everyone, so here we are on what I call my X Factor farming spreadsheet. We're going to start off with talking about Multiple Man. So he is today going to be made farmable in Doom War 3.9. So if you don't have Doom War 3.9 unlocked, then and you don't have Multiple Man at 5-star, then we probably aren't really having much of a conversation here anyways. But if you do have this node at 3-star and you need to farm more Multiple Man shards like I do, because I only got him, like, I think I'm at 25 out of 130, so I need something like 100 shards or so to get to 5-star for Adam Warlock. This is kind of important. So here we are. So days to farm, 14. Now, I said originally, I think that there was 18 days total, at least from today, between now and Adam Warlock's event, which, just to pull up my calendar really quick, I think is going to be on the 28th of June, which is a Monday. That's normally when legendary events come around, is on a Monday. And we are going to have 2 double shard days. Now, they might go back and give us 1, but for Jubilee, and I'm pretty sure for Doc Ock, there was actually 2. But the reason why this says 2 but actually 4 is that because unless your time zone is on the reset of the store reset, you do actually get 2 days or two rollover periods where you can farm this per 24-hour period. So for me, I'm more than able to do this because I have, I think, 14-hour gap or something like that between each of the day rollovers, which is nice. So if there is 2 double shard days, you're actually getting 4 days of this. So that's what we're going to be using in this calculation. There is a few people who said that this is not possible. Like I said, I think that your daily reset would have to be on the exact same time as the store reset for it not to be possible. But for 23 other time zones, I'm pretty sure this is possible. Let me know in the comments down below if you dispute this, though. So otherwise, we have 14 regular days and 4 double shard days. Now, for the average shards per day, it is typically around 2.5. So that's what we're going to be using with this calculation. So this is, we're going to be talking about shards without coring and then shards with a variety of core refreshes. So to get this 55 that's here, this is just shards without coring, and this is what I expect people to get for the next 18 days till the end of the Adam Warlock event. And how I came to this is basically I took this 14 and I times it by 2.5, and then I took the 4 and times it by 5, because that would be the double, hypothetically, right? I know 4 times 0 is 0, but hypothetically, if you're taking the double shards, then you should get 5 per attempt on the double shard days, at least 5, which I know you can't get 5, but, you know, stick with me on this one. So you did that, you get 55. Now obviously when you're doing coring, this is kind of just doubling your chances and doubling the amount that you should be able to accumulate. So if you're doing 50 core refreshes at least once per day, this means that you're farming Multiple Man twice every single day, then hypothetically you should be able to get, this is an average of course, this doesn't mean you're going to get this many shards. And just like I said for Phyla Vel's campaign event, that if you are trying to target a certain goal, make sure you go a little bit higher. So this is just the average. It could be less, it could be more than this, but 210 if you're doing 50 core 150 core refresh, 165 if you're doing 250 core refreshes, and keep in mind this is 100 cores daily now, and then 220 if you do another 100 core refresh, which brings you a grand total of 200 cores daily, which might be hard to maintain if you're doing this over an 18-day period. Because also keep in mind, with the Phi-level event still ongoing, people are spending cores there as well. So power cores are definitely a premium resource, especially if you're going to be using it to farm for X Factor for Adam Warlock. So please do keep that in mind. So it is pretty simple when it comes to multiple man. You know, it just depends on how many core refreshes you're going to need to do. How far are you away from multiple man at 5-star, or hey, maybe even 6-star. Maybe you're trying to get to that 6-star, but I'm just lucky enough to get to 5. I'll probably be somewhere between here, 1 50 core refresh to 2 50 core refreshes. I haven't quite decided where I'm going to get. I guess I'll probably start off strong, and then if I get really lucky, then I'll start to slow down later on, just like I typically do for campaign event characters. So because we don't know actually when Polaris is going to be made farmable, or if at all, keep in mind that because this is a mythic legendary, we don't know 100% if she's actually going to be made farmable before the event, but we're just going to assume that she might be. So in order to kind of figure this out, we need to look at my character spreadsheet, which you guys may have seen this before. I do bring this up from time to time. So this is my character spreadsheet here, and like I said, you guys may have seen this already. It is cut off at a little bit here, but what's important is the dates around X23 and how close it was to the Doc Ock event. So we can see here, this is X23 on this row here, and we can see the farmable date here over here was September the 15th. Now, September the 15th, and then Doc Ock's event was here. This is Doc Ock here. I know my head's in the way. This was the 21st of September, so that was only 6 days before the event. Now the first event obviously lasts for 5 days, so that's 6 plus 5. That's a total of 11 days actually that you could potentially have farmed X23. She was the last person to become farmable on the X-Force team prior to Doc Ock. Now for Pimtech and Jubilee, they were actually a little bit more generous on this. This is the Pimtech patch here, Stature, Ghost, and Yellow Jacket. Again, slightly cut off on the left hand side here. But January 20 and 25, whereas Jubilee's event was down here at February the 8th. So there was a fair bit of time. The difference, though, between Polaris now is that she is in the Strike Pass. Now, we need to take a look at the game a little bit to sort of see that. How many days left are we in the Strike Pass? I'm actually recording this on Monday. This isn't Tuesday, so do keep in mind there's 1 extra day here. But with 8 days left, so let's calculate here. That should be ending on the 22nd of June. Now, why is that important? That's 6 days before Adam Warlock, because I think that they're not going to be making Polaris farmable before the end of the Strike Pass, so that they can actually make as many sales on this Strike Pass as possible by making people panic farm. If he was made available prior to this date, then less people would be buying the Strike Pass because they would think that they could farm it faster on the node with cores if they need to, rather than spending money. So my guess is at some point between Tuesday, June the 22nd, they would make her farmable. So let's take that date as, let's say it might be Tuesday the 22nd, it might be Wednesday the 23rd, something like that. And so that gives us actually pretty close to what X23 was before the Doc Ock event. She was made farmable, what did I say, 6 days before Doc Ock's event. So 6 days before the 28th would be the 22nd or the 23rd around here. So we can kind of use that as a figure to go on for farming Polaris and what you could possibly do. So let's jump back to the X Factor spreadsheet here. So again, I'm using X23 as an example here. I actually said 7, but let's keep it at 7 for the moment. You know, who knows? Maybe they might make her farmable on the Monday, you know, just the day before the event. And we're including the double shard. Actually, no, sorry, that's still 6. It's still 6 because there's double shard days as well, and the 5-day duration of the event. So we're actually considering the double shard days as well, because normally this should also apply to Polaris, I would assume, and not just for multiple man. So let's go with that. 7 days to farm, but also includes 4 days to double shard farm as well. We have the same numbers here as multiple man, but it's a bit different because the total number of days is way less for Polaris. Now, shards without coring, again, it's the exact same math here, the shards without coring, as it was for multiple man, because you still get that 2.5 per day. So this is just taking 7 days times it by 2.5 plus 4 times 5, so 20. Yeah, the math is there. 37.5 roughly. If you were not to core at all for Polaris, this is roughly how many shards you would get. Now, realistically, if you're completely free to play, then you're going to need to think about what you're probably at 100 shards out of 310, plus or minus maybe some orb farm. You know, maybe you got lucky in an orb or something. So realistically, you're going to need to be somewhere down here probably in order to even have a shot. So what does that mean? Well, you're going to be spending a lot of power cores to obtain this. So for me, I actually only need about, because I bought the strike pass, I'm only going to need something about 30 shards. So actually for me, I might be okay, but what I'm probably going to do is I'm still going to core Polaris, because whatever your goal is, make sure you shoot up a little bit higher. So depending on how far away you are on Polaris, this is what you're going to have to look at. And what does this mean? So with 1 core refreshes, you're spending 50 cores daily. With 2 core refreshes, you're spending 100 cores daily. With 3 core refreshes, you're spending 200 core daily, and then so on and so on. 300, 500 if you're getting into these 200s is absolutely ridiculous. So really it just depends on how many shards that you need to farm Polaris for Polaris and how many cores that you're even going to have. So make sure that you kind of plan ahead. Definitely plan ahead with your power cores, because there's not much time left, and if you do need to collect these shards, you're going to need a lot of power cores for refreshing these characters. Alright, so let's move on to Longshot, who is in the War Store, of course, and he has been for a little while anyways, but let's assume that you're just starting to farm Longshot today, and you're kind of curious to know how many shards that you can accumulate between now and the Adam Warlock event. So let's assume, again, there's 18 days to farm. This is very similar to what Multiple Man is going to look like now. We do have 14 characters in the War Store, because thankfully Ravager Bruiser was removed from the store. That brings our percentage chance of Longshot appearing in any store refresh to 21.4%. Now that's taking 3, because there's 3 slots, divide that by 14, which is the total number of characters, and that gets you that. Now, how I came up with the 3.2 shards per day, now this is taking basically that percentage in decimal form, timesing it by 5, because that's how many shards that you can actually get from any purchase, and then timesing that by 3, because that's how many refreshes there are in a day, and you get roughly 3.2. Now what that means is basically some days you might see Longshot, some days you might not, and that depends on how many coring if you're not doing any coring, of course, that's what it's going to look like. Now I did this non-mathematical approach. Basically, if you get 5 shards per day, as in you get Longshot at least once per day over the 18-day period, you're going to get about 90 shards, but that's not the mathematical approach. It's just on average. If you were to, let's say, just core so that you get at least 5 Longshot shards per day, this is what you could expect over the 18-day period. It also doesn't necessarily mean that you will get Longshot, though, of course, if you were to core every single day. But, you know, there is obviously these numbers here. So let's talk about this here. So if you are core refreshing the store, what can you reasonably expect to get? And so let's talk about the core refreshes. So if you're doing 150 core per refresh, keep in mind that's actually 150 cores daily. So do keep in mind about your power core supply and whether or not this is going to last over an 18-day period or even half of that. But hypothetically anyways, if you're doing this if you're doing 50 cores every single store refresh, then you'll likely get 6.4 shards. What that means, of course, is that you're either going to get Longshot to show up once, maybe twice per day. Now, if you're doing this again, that's bringing you up to a total of 300 power cores, because you're doing that additional 50 core refresh. So that was 2 refreshes per store refresh. And that typically brings you up to that you would see Longshot at least twice a day, bringing you up to 9.6 shards. Now, these other ones here, the 100 core refreshes, this is super extreme. I'm not even sure why I added it in, frankly, but that's just because of people asking me for things like Phyla-Vel and things. I just decided to throw that in there. But it's just extremely unlikely, because now you're getting into the 100 core refreshes, and what does that mean? You've already spent, you know, 150 or 300 power cores daily on refreshes. Now, if you're getting into the 100s, you're talking about 600 a day on this one here, and then 900 a day over here. So this just seems a bit unlikely, but I wanted to throw it out there anyways. And let's talk about how many shards you would get over 18 days. Now, if you're doing 1 core refresh, so 150 power cores a day, you're going to get about 116 shards over that 18-day period. And if you're doing 2 core refreshes, again, that's going to be 300 cores daily. You're going to wind up with 173 shards over that 18-day period. But keep in mind, this one here, this is 150 cores times 18 days. This is 300 cores times 18 days. So this is a lot of power cores that you would be dedicating to Longshot if that's what you need to get to 5-star. Not even considering Polaris and Multiple Man, but you know, if you need all of these characters to 5-star, then you're looking at quite a bit of power core that you might need to do potentially. Now I have the numbers here for the other ones. For the 100 core refresh, super unlikely that you would need to do that. I realized that this was actually dragged down. This is supposed to be up here. There we go. So this is 150 cores daily, 300 cores, 600 and 1200 cores daily. It gets pretty dramatic. Or is this 900? I forget. It doesn't even matter. I think this is 900 actually. But it doesn't matter. It's absolutely madness. Now what I didn't do is this one here. I didn't do just the standard if you don't core refresh, so let's do that really quick over here because I forgot to put it over here. I forgot to put it in for some reason. So you would take basically that 3.2 and you would times it by 18, and that gets you a grand total of just under 58 here. Let's make that let's do that. Okay, so there we go. 57.8 or about 58 shards. If you do 0 refreshing with power cores, this is realistically what you would get for Longshot between now and the Adam Warlock event, assuming Adam Warlock's event is on June the 28th, which is widely expected. So there we have it. We have Shatterstar, so not Shatterstar, Multiple Man, Polaris, and Longshot. We did skip Shatterstar because realistically he is probably the one that you have the most amount of shards for, so I'm not going to do the math in the arena orb. It's a load of crap and I really don't like it. Anyways, I will make this spreadsheet available in the comments, in the description, sorry, down below in case people want to take a look at it. And you can actually change, when it comes to Polaris, if her days change and sort of when she becomes available, this will actually change the math as well. So you can see here, if you were to put in, let's say they're generous and they give it to us before the strike pass ends, you could put in 10, that's 3 extra days. And you can see how the math changes. Obviously, you're going to be getting more shards over that time period. If you were to put in last 5 days, you can see how the math changes. So it goes up or down depending on how many days there are available left to farm. But we're going to keep this back at 7. This is what I expect to happen, and how many Polaris shards you're realistically going to get. Now, like I said, if you are in that sort of very free-to-play range, which means you have, let's say, 100 to 150 shards of Polaris, you're going to need something like this. You're going to need to core something fierce in order to get up to 310. Otherwise, it just seems really unlikely unless you pulled a lot of shards, sorry, out of the orbs. It just seems very unlikely. So there we have it, guys. This is the X Factor farm guide, and just kind of a little bit of tips for you if you're trying to get to Adam Warlock, if you need to shard farm more, but you don't know what kind of coring you're going to need to do. Hopefully this illuminates it a little bit for you guys. Let me know if there was any confusion in the comments down below, and I'll try to help you guys out. Of course, if you need to get a hold of me, the best place to do so is Discord. You can also find that in the description below as well. That's the best place to contact me. So hope this helps, guys. Good luck on your farming for Adam Warlock coming soon, and I guess we'll find out where Polaris eventually becomes obtainable or not obtained, when she becomes farmable, or if she doesn't, if they decide to withhold her until after the event, which seems unlikely, but you never know, because Adam Warlock is a mythic legendary and the first one to come. So that's it, guys. That's the end of the video. Until next time, of course, stay safe, and I'll see y'all later. Boilon signing out.